My name's Craig and I'm the founder of Idio Sports Disc Golf Footwear Company, and this year I am taking on the challenge of throwing a disc 500 feet. At the age of 38, I'm going to dive into the science, technique, and training required to break down that barrier. Hey everyone, welcome to day one. We've got a wide open field, nets, and a TechDisc. Today we're going to get some baseline of where I'm at to give us an idea of how far I need to go. So let's go ahead and get some throws in and see if we can come up with sort of a overall look at what the backhand's looking like. All right, let's just get some warm-up shots in and try to get a baseline. All right, so we have some warm-up throws in. Let's just take a look at our TechDisc display here and get an idea of where we're. So we've got 52, 52. We've got a little spike, 57 a few times, 57, 56.8, so 57. So speed is sitting anywhere from 52 to 57, and spin 1300, 1200, 1181, almost 12, 1175, 1183. So spin pretty consistently sitting there at about 12. I say 1200 on average. Nose angle. Nose angle's probably somewhere where we can definitely improve. When I'm really focused on it, I'm down there negative 2.4, negative 1.6, negative 0.9. But to be honest, I'm really like focusing on it in those shots. So that's definitely not second nature. I'm sure that's going to make a big difference for our journey to 500 here. Wobble, anything around, I believe it's 4 degrees is decent. So most of those down by 4 degrees, a couple of them getting a little high. Launch angle, not too worried about at the moment. These are just warm-ups. So we've kind of got a good idea of where we're sitting as I'm throwing and warming up. Now let's see if I can crank on some and see if we can at least try to break 60 miles an hour. Let's see what happens. Look at Rosie in the background there, always working. Even when relaxing at the park, she is still taking care of you guys and our orders and making sure everyone is happy and getting their shoes. Okay, so we're back after throwing some what I would call full power shots, but we almost went backwards. So probably like hitting a point where I'm fatiguing already. But there is some really good information here. Let's take a look. Okay, so if we take a look at speed here, it's not what I was expecting. I was able to break 60 one time. That's not on here because I did throw quite a few, and so it just kind of moved off the list. But I broke 60 once, but my nose angle was horrible. In general, we're sort of like, if we average that out, we're probably like in the low 50s, like 52, 52, 53, because there are some 40s on there, 49, 159 right there. So I didn't really improve speed at all. In fact, trying to throw harder slowed me down. So there might be something to that. Let's jump over here to spin though. Spin is really, really good. I'm happy about that. 1276, 1299, 1211, 1288. So we're like 1200 to 1300 consistently every single shot with spin. So that's awesome. I'm glad to see that. Nose angle is also really, really good. I was able to improve that over our practice shots just kind of by focusing on it a little bit more. Even in some of our faster shots, it's still stayed down. So that's also great. Wobble, I'm pretty sure we're gonna talk to Michael with TechDisc about it, but I believe wobble, you want to be like 4 degrees and below is ideal. So we're sitting there. That's great. And then launch, again, not super concerned with that. We're not throwing in the field at the moment, getting distance, but this is good news. I think given the data in front of us, we're really just going to have to focus on speed, with spin being pretty positive and nose angle generally also being pretty positive. It looks like our journey is going to be one of chasing speed. So that's going to be interesting, but great. I don't have to focus too much on spin. I don't think I've ever had to focus on spin. We'll see how speed increases nose angle. Sometimes when I throw harder, my nose angle gets worse because you're sort of like compensating, right? So with that, let's go ahead and put the TechDisc down for a moment and utilize this big field behind us and see if we can get ourselves an average distance. All right, I've got our stack of drivers here. They are all different, so I'm going to have to adjust to it. But I think once we get a solid baseline, it would probably make a great future episode to talk to maybe a world record distance thrower and find out what makes the perfect distance disc, right? Like, what are you looking for? You're looking for a flip up to a small turn, something that you throw straight with stability that turns and finishes. You know, I think that would probably be a really good conversation to have, and then maybe get a stack of them and figure out what that key disc is for me and my speed and distance, and just go in and get a stack. That'd probably be a great tool. But for today, we're gonna go through some of these and see if we can get just an overall average of what our distance looks like currently. So we have a couple of those on the far back. I'm tired. We have a couple of those on the far back fence, and a couple of them that were on a really nice turnover line that hit the fence kind of to the right. It cut them off a little bit. They were still hitting that fence with some speed. So let's take a walk over there and see what we have. Okay, I have a line of 4 of these discs that were turnover discs that hit the fence line. So let's see what we have on these. I've set my camera tripod up over there where I was releasing from. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to ping that here. Okay, I got 390 3 times. So 390 on this first one, which is my Beaver Ranch Halo Roadrunner. It's an awesome disc. This one's just a little past it. Let's go to these 2 right here and see what we get off these. All right, we're at 401, 404. I'm getting about 400 to 404 right here. That's pretty cool, I think. I know one of these had some heat on it still. Let's check out these couple that were on the more of the hyzer line. So these are definitely more stable discs. I've got my Royal Grand Grace here. $389, $390 on this one. This might be our furthest one. This is our Honey. The Honey's a nice distance driver if it doesn't get too crazy or windy, because it doesn't handle that very well. 404, 405 right here on the Honey. We're a couple steps left on this Calvin Destroyer, which is pretty awesome because that's a beefcake. So to get this one at like, I don't know, probably 398, 400 is pretty awesome. And then we have 1, 2, 3 of them that are probably at about 390 or so. So that's pretty cool. I'm happy with that. I think that gives us a really good starting point. We're just tickling around 400. I'd say I'm feeling pretty warmed up. The timing started to feeling like it was coming together on this last set of discs. I'll be really interested to get this data back home and check the TechDisc stats, and maybe give Michael, the founder of TechDisc, a call and have him walk us through it. We got some good data for him, and I have some good questions. So let's just get this back home, and we'll give Michael a call. What better person to ask about this than someone who's probably data logged more data on throws than anybody else.
We've certainly seen more throw data than most people.
Yeah. So I figured you could probably shed some light on what you might see. I've got 60 a couple of times, but not consistent. One there and one there. But generally, we're in, as far as speed goes, we're in like 40 to 55 range here. Hyzer angle, I'm not too worried about.
Seeing a lot of variability in the speed.
Yeah.
Can you talk me through a little bit what you were trying to do at each of these throws? Was there a warm-up period, and then you did a couple max power, and then a lower power, and then a max power, or was this all trying to be basically 90, 100% power?
This is all trying to be 90 here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so just off the cuff, I see a lot of variability in the speed for something where you're trying to be, 90% power, which is super interesting.
Yeah. I also saw that. I feel like maybe I can go down the list here. I feel like my warm-ups might have been a little more consistent, actually. So there could be some fatigue happening here.
Yes, totally.
50, 50, 56, 57, 52, 52, one more 60, 50. Oh, there's still like 50 to 55 generally. Spin stays consistently 1200 and higher. Nice.
And I think that's how we know that you were trying to hit the same power level.
Okay.
Because your spin stays largely constant. That range of spins, that's about what I would expect to see. That's how consistent I would expect your spin range to be. So the fact that your speed range varies so much while your spin stays the same, I think is going to be a really interesting thing to explore. Because so even your hyzer angle doesn't look terribly. You've got a range of roughly 5 to roughly 15, give or take. Which is that's not a crazy range.
Yeah, not something I was focusing on there either. Hyzer and launch angle are the two where I was like, okay, I'm not really like trying to think about those so much, but just trying to get the speed and spin and see where my baseline there is. Go ahead.
You want to do one thing for me and put some of these throws into a throw set so we can kind of look at them all together?
Sure, let's see.
Could you
show us how to do that?
So hit the checkbox on the left-hand side on like 10 of the last backhand throws. And when you hit that checkbox to select each throw, there should be a button that pops up that says create analysis set. For now.
Yeah.
And you can pick up to 30, but just kind of, pick a group here.
Okay.
Okay. If you scroll the window up a little bit, there's that button, that create analysis set. Yep. And then hit go to set. Let's take a look at these all together. And so what this is going to do is it's going to average those out to create kind of your one average throw amongst that set. And And so then you can really easily see your range of speed, your range of spin. And so this is exactly what we're talking about. Your spin range is pretty consistent. It's a fairly tight range, basically 100 RPMs. But your speed range is more than 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely some consistencies in form and something going on there that's just not, it's just not connecting the same every time.
Yeah. But you love to see that you've got that ceiling, because it's usually easier to bring your floor up than it is to push your ceiling higher.
Oh, okay.
But maybe you'll have the opportunities to do both.
Yeah. Consistency is key, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you scroll down a little bit and look at that 3D simulation, you can see the spread of those shots.
So these are all technical shots there.
Yep.
Cool.
So you can see that's a decently wide spread, as you'd expect from a range of speeds that far apart, because a 12.5 -1 disc is going to fly very differently if you're throwing 60 than it is if you're throwing 50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very different. So with that being said, do you think the biggest contributor to distance is speed?
Yes, the biggest contributor is speed. It's roughly 10 feet per mile per hour. And so kind of some goalposts or like reference points that we'll lay out is 50 miles an hour is approximately 300 feet, 60 is approximately 400, 70 is approximately 500.
Okay.
So just, broad strokes, if you want your goal to be 50 or 500 feet, then 70 miles an hour for speed is the ballpark that you want to be working towards.
Okay, awesome. Which falls in line with kind of what I was thinking is with spin being so consistent and nose angle, there's room to improve there, but nose angle being not too terribly bad, it looks like it's kind of nice because that's going to narrow down my focus in a way where I really just need to figure out how to get that disc speed up, basically.
Yeah, and we're not coaches, so work with your coach as you go through this. But what we tend to see is as people push their speed higher and higher, some of the angles, like you're doing new things that your body's not necessarily used to.
Yeah.
And so the nose and launch angle especially can start to get wonky, and that nose starts to leak up typically.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of a dance of push your speed higher, make your angles worse. And then once your speed's higher, you can go back and fix your angles.
You have to kind of tighten everything back in and then push it and tighten it back in almost.
Yeah, it's a little bit of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's a process.
Yeah, I actually saw that while out throwing my warm-up shots and was able to record that. When I really started to try to throw hard, my nose got worse. And so the harder I tried to throw, the more I had to focus on getting it down and pointed that out during my practice. So it's interesting to hear from you that is kind of consistent in what you might see through other players as well.
Yeah, we've seen it with a lot of people.
How about if speed is the biggest contributor to distance, how does spin affect distance? And what is spin more, what variables does spin affect more on the disc?
Yeah, so spin really affects the shape of the flight. Okay. So how much does it turn over early in the flight, and then how much does it fade back late in the flight? So it's that left to right motion. If you get a lot of spin, it's going to be very stable, and it's going to resist turning right, and it's going to resist turning left.
So basically, the more spin, the more angle control your disc has. If you put it on hyzer, it'll stay on hyzer. If you put it on anhyzer, it might hold that longer through its flight before trying to come out.
Yeah, that's right. And that gives you the opportunity to throw less stable discs without having them totally turn and burn, and correspondingly, more overstable discs without having that fade out be super hard. I think that's one of the easiest ways to think about the effect is think about a backhand shot and a forehand shot. A lot of forehand shots have a lot of left to right movement, especially that fade at the end is very aggressive and can skip a lot.
Right.
And so you think of that as a low spin shot. And then a backhand shot typically doesn't have that aggressive skip at the end, that aggressive fade out, because it's got more spin.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Well, cool, man. That's really good data. So I have definitely something to work on there, and I imagine it'll kind of be all over the place at first, because like you said, I'm going to be doing new things with my body and learning new motions. So keeping an eye on the speed, but not only that is just the consistency of everything building together, I think will be a really important thing through the journey here.
Yeah. Yeah. Try to be careful about it. If your goal is speed, just focus on speed for that section. And then separately, if you're trying to get ready for a tournament or competition where you need more control, then focus on your other angles as well, and understand when you go for max power, how much control do you still have over your other angles?
Sure. Yeah. Without losing it completely.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, thanks, Michael. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I
awesome.
will I'll definitely be probably touching back with you and keeping an eye on all this. And knowing that these tools are here in place, it's going to be, I think, pivotal to understanding where I'm going. So this is really cool. I didn't even know some of this stuff existed. Is there any other little tips or tricks that you've got in the software that might help with something like this?
Yeah. So if you're going to be working with a coach and doing form work, you're going to want to use the video feature, which you can use on your phone or even connected to a computer. But basically, you put your phone on a tripod pointed at where you're throwing. And when you throw, it will automatically clip out a video and apply slow-mo to it and store it right here on your TechDisc account. So that's extremely handy if you're trying to share videos with a coach. If you are trying to work on a specific thing, or, I would have loved to have had it here, since your speed is kind of all over the place. Like, let's take a look at those 60-mile-an-hour throws. What was your body doing then? And let's look at the 50-mile-an-hour throws. What was your body doing then? So we can start to understand and break it down. What does your body need to do to achieve these higher speeds?
Wow, yeah, even better, because I'm sure that will tell a lot. So it will take that video and just attach it to each throw along with the rest of the data.
That's right. It attaches to every single throw. Yep.
Cool. I'll make sure to bring it to my my coaching sessions then, because that sounds pretty rad.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds great. I think you're set up well.
Right on. Cool, man. Well, thank you. I'll be in touch. This will be fun.
That sounds good. Good luck, Greg.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Okay, so there's a few issues that I know exist that I've been working on consistently for, well, probably the last year or so. And I want to kind of sit down and take a look at those with you guys and point those out, see what your opinions are on this. And also compare with the coach if this really is an issue or something we need to work on, if it's causing me a lot of power loss, and really assess what might be going on here. So the first thing I want to point out is a really high reach back. I've always had this like really high, really flat reach back. And I'm not necessarily sure that that is an issue. I've seen a few other players do that and still throw really well. Calvin Heiberg, for one, has a super high reach back, flat release. He's really good at those full power tunnel shots through the wood shots because the disc stays low and flat, which is very similar to my natural shot shape. Is just that like really straight pushing hyzer flip. So that, and yeah, I think a few other people that I've seen with that high reach back and make it work. Where I'm not sure if it comes into an issue or not is if we kind of scroll through, because the reach back's so high that the disc and my arm kind of creates this V shape here, which in the backswing gets the nose pointing up. and it sort of creates a bit of a swoop, like an up to down swoop. Again, like I've seen this in a lot of players too, even Paige Pierce, which as a female athlete is one of the furthest throwing female disc golfers. So I mean, again, not sure if it's an issue. I think we can work around it, but it sure is ugly. And if you're not good at getting the nose down, see right here, even here, that nose is pointing up on release. And so it's one of those things, like if you're not careful, not really good at getting the nose down, I think it just exaggerates it. So if we're able to, and I've been working on this for the last part of, I don't know, 6 months or so, is getting this reach back to kind of come a little bit lower and out here this way. Let me use red, that would make more sense. And then I'm going from a down to up motion, and I think it's a little easier to control that nose angle upon release. Okay, the second really big issue, and you may have already seen it when reviewing that last one, is my timing's always just been slightly off. So my reach back is set here and my toe isn't quite planted. I'll have another slide to show you that demonstrates that more clearly. But this really throws my timing off, and it gets worse as I start to fatigue as well. Without being able to get that toe down to the ground, I'm starting to pull through early, which is relying on my upper body, and it's not engaging my legs and my hips as much. And I notice this too, when I intentionally slow things down, I'm able to get my foot planted and then start to engage my hips first and have everything pull through and follow. And just the release is better, the snap is better. Even when it comes together, even my accuracy feels better because I'm able to get my head and everything moving to the target earlier. So this is a really big one, and the one that I've been working the hardest on for the last year. So yeah, now is more like, 2 frames forward, and that's more, the foot's much more engaged, and from that position I can start engaging the hips. But I've already started the upper body going. So just right there, timing's out. Okay, we'll take a look at it from another angle here. And this you can really see a lot more clearly. I don't even think that toe is down yet. It's just kind of tickling the grass at that point. But I'm definitely fully set. Scan forward a couple frames. Upper body's engaging. Foot is still landing and yet upper body's engaging. So that's kind of an issue. So right here, you can see the shoulder starts to move downwards. And now hips are rotating. But so much has already happened. So that I think is going to be a big one. This looks good. Power pocket's pretty strong here. Rotation's good. I've worked in the past on getting this arm to drive downward and help rotate and spin my upper body, which had made a difference in the past. So sometimes I still have to think about that, especially when I'm slowing my timing down and trying to plant, then reach back. Then I kind of have to think about it again and then redrive that arm. It's sort of like sequencing everything together correctly. from here on, everything looks pretty good to me. This is where having a second eye, I think, is going to really help to kind of catch some things that I just don't see. But I'm looking at like my timing here of where the disc starts to release is timed very well with when the foot starts to rotate on the heel. That's something that I see in really high level throwers. So watch one more frame so that the disc releases and the foot rotates. So everything ends up kind of at the end, it ends up syncing back together, but the series of events leading up to that, I don't think is ideal for throwing powerful shots. So let me know, help me out. Let me know what you guys see, if you spot anything that I don't, or if you have any tips or tricks for these couple issues that I've pointed out here.